The moment this girl's parents met their daughter's boyfriend, they instantly made up their minds about him. Their girl always looked presentable, but her chosen partner was a homeless man who did not belong. At least that was what they thought. Little did they know that this man was hiding a huge secret. But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. Sarah and her boyfriend Jake, who was homeless at the time, met a little over a year before their eventual wedding day. And shortly after their first date, the day came when he had to meet Sarah's parents. It was a nervous moment and one that did not go smoothly, to say the least. They had arranged a dinner party at Sarah's parents' home. Sarah had not told them much about Jake's living situation because she worried they would otherwise judge prematurely. Sarah hoped her folks would be open-minded and see beyond her boyfriend's rough exterior. Inside, he was a warm and lovable man, but that hope faded the moment Jake stepped over his in-laws' doorstep. He smiled and reached out his hand to shake theirs. He introduced himself and was nothing but polite the entire time. But the moment Sarah's parents saw Jake's filthy appearance, alarm bells started to ring in their brains. They did not shake his hand back and never stated their names. Instead, they instantly asked about his work and living situation in a judgmental way. Given the look of his attire, they had little hope for a positive answer. But when Jake stated that he was homeless, a sense of shock filled their hearts. Sarah's parents were speechless and looked at the friendly but filthy young man with disgust in their eyes. "But Mom and Dad, there is so much more to Jake than you think." Sarah's parents figured that their daughter only said those words to force a nice response, but this comment was meant pretty literally. During dinner time, Sarah's parents played nice, mostly for their daughter's sanity. They even introduced themselves as Ron and Emily, but that one moment of pleasantness was quickly canceled out by all the months that followed. Ron and Emily turned their backs on Sarah and her disgusting boyfriend the moment they left that night. Every time their daughter and her boyfriend came over, they were forced to turn away. Jake wasn't welcome in their home anymore. Her parents became distant and repeatedly tried to convince Sarah to end the relationship. "He's not good enough for you, baby girl. Why do you even like him?" But Sarah paid their hurtful words no mind. And then, about 10 months after that first family dinner, the biggest shock for Ron and Emily arrived. It came in the mail, an invitation to their daughter's wedding. Emily saw how Ron's face filled up red with anger. "This has to stop!" Emily couldn't agree more. They knew speaking to Sarah was pointless, so instead, they made a pact to sabotage their wedding by any means necessary. They would drag their daughter away from the altar if need be. "She will listen to us one way or another," Ron told his wife. Before Ron and Emily knew it, the day of their daughter's wedding arrived. It was a nice warm day in May, and the wedding location was beautiful. Ron and Emily walked up to the venue with aching pain in their hearts. They wanted a happy daughter, but marrying a homeless man didn't offer her stability. The wedding venue was massive. It took place at a private estate with a large mansion in the middle. Both the outside grounds and the house were part of the wedding, in case rain took over. "Our daughter probably paid for all this and ransacked her bank account. It's not like Jake can afford it." While walking in the outer part of the garden, both parents were almost instantly greeted by their daughter and Jake. She was already wearing her wedding dress, and Jake still needed to put on his tuxedo. Clearly, because the way he presented himself now was like the Jake they knew, filthy and rugged. The two parents made one last verbal effort to prevent the wedding from happening, and it was a big one. "Sarah, if you go through with this, we consider you disinherited. We cannot look on from the sidelines any longer, girl." Ron said these hurtful words with a raised voice. But somehow Sarah already expected her father to speak these words. She even had a response ready. She found it sad that her parents kept viewing their relationship this way, and she and Jake were ready to give them one last chance to change their minds. Sarah nodded toward Jake, who pulled out an envelope. Jake handed the paper package to his parents-in-law and took over speaking. With the following words, he turned the table on them. "If you want me to be your son-in-law, then follow the instructions inside this envelope. If you don't, the same fate goes for you. We will disinherit you," Jake said. Jake and Sarah didn't say another word and simply walked away together, leaving her parents behind, dazed and confused. Emily looked at her husband, who now held the mysterious envelope in his hand. "What does he mean, honey? Why would this one envelope make us want him as our son-in-law?" But as you might expect, curiosity won this battle. Ron opened the envelope while still watching his daughter walk around the corner of the house. The piece of paper indeed detailed a set of instructions, but to the unknowing mind, it made no real sense. "What is this?" Ron said loudly. Sarah's mother curiously read the note as well while looking in from behind Ron's shoulder. The instructions were as follows. "Follow my commands and find out the truth. To get you started, go to the large tree on the property and dig deep to find the thing you're looking for." Ron found this whole ordeal irritating. A minute ago, they were making demands, and now they were playing some stupid riddle game conjured by a homeless man? "No, not me! I won't belittle myself like that." Ron was about to throw the instruction list away, but his wife stopped him before he could. It was time to figure out where this note would lead them. Together, they searched the property and quickly found the largest tree. It was a tall oak that was well over 60 feet in size, and before it stood a shovel with its spade already halfway buried into the ground. "This must be it." Ron looked at his wife, unsure what to do next, but Emily had already decided. They needed to dig a hole, just like the slightly cryptic instruction told them to do. "Come on, grab that shovel." Ron respected his wife's wishes and dug a narrow but deep hole until he hit something hard. Jake suddenly became a lot more mysterious because after removing the remaining soil with his hands, Ron was holding a small wooden box. The lid of the container was opened, and inside were 2 items. These items would make sweat drip down on both their foreheads. One item was a picture. It showed them a phone picture of Jake and Sarah smiling while having dinner at a restaurant. The backside of the picture had some text on it. "This is where we had our first date. And here is your tip because you raised a lovely daughter." Ron nervously opened the second package, an envelope. Inside that envelope, he found a large stack of money. It contained well over $10,000. Both parents turned pale instantly. Where did all that money come from? It was addressed to them, but what did they deserve to receive all this money? And how did Jake get it in the first place? The final $100 bill had some writing on it, and the words formed a follow-up instruction for Ron and Emily. "Go to the main bedroom of the house to get your final answer." By now, both Ron and Emily were thoroughly intrigued, and together, they quickly went to the main house on the property. The front door was already open since the house was part of the wedding. They asked cleaning staff where they could find the master bedroom, and after following their instructions, they saw it, a large room with a bed in the middle. In the center of its sheets lay a floral wreath. "What kind of sick game is this boy playing?" Ron blurted out, slightly irritated. The floral wreath looked like something one would lay on a coffin after a family member died, so seeing it laid out for them felt a bit morbid. Emily said nothing this time and simply walked silently to the floral arrangement. Emily reached out and grabbed a framed photo from the floral arrangement. The image depicted a formal family portrait of a man, woman, and child, their faces stern. On the back of the frame, Emily found a folded letter written by Jake, addressed to her and Ron. As they read the heartfelt message, both parents were moved to tears. The letter revealed a painful chapter from Jake's past, making them question their own actions towards him and their daughter. Realizing their mistake, Ron and Emily knew they had to make things right. They left the house, humbled, just as the ceremony began. A choir sang and Jake, dressed sharply, smiled as he saw his bride approach the altar. When Sarah's father, Ron, guided her down the aisle, the shift in their relationship became clear. Ron, once harshly judgmental of Jake, now embraced him with respect, signaling his acceptance. The vows were exchanged, filled with love and promises. But Jake's speech held something special. Turning to his in-laws, he explained the truth behind the letter. He shared how his parents had rejected him, casting him out without warning and leaving him destitute. Jake had vowed never to let money define him or his relationships again. When he met Sarah, he pretended to still be homeless to ensure that she loved him for who he was, not his wealth. After his parents' sudden death in a car accident, Jake inherited their fortune. Despite this, he continued his facade to test Sarah's family's acceptance. As he revealed this to them, he expressed gratitude for their protection and love, contrasting it with the neglect he had suffered. He asked Ron and Emily if they would still accept him as their son-in-law. With tears in their eyes, Ron and Emily stood and embraced Jake, now fully accepting him into their family. The ceremony proceeded, and soon after, the couple was happily married. Months later, they visited the graves of Jake's biological parents, an emotional but comforting moment. Jake found solace knowing he was surrounded by a family that loved him for who he truly was. The love and support he had always longed for had finally come full circle.